everybody. Welcome to GB Talks. And today we are with Mr. Joe Byrne, Executive CTO at AppDynamics. Welcome, Joe.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So how are you doing today? Early morning in California.
It is, yeah, but that's okay. I'm an early riser. I do better in the morning, so this works great. Thank you.
So you're the Executive CTO at AppDynamics. So what does your role entail?
So my role entails primarily a lot of external customer-facing interactions. I'm a former two-time customer. I bought AppDynamics twice when I led large engineering teams in the past. And so I work with customers more at the executive kind of C-1 or 2 level on strategy and how to implement things like full stack observability and what that means or developing a DevOps team, things of that nature. And then I also take a lot of that information back from the customers and I work with engineering and product on the roadmap and where we should go. I do a lot of work with the marketing team on doing, things like this or keynote speeches at events, things of that nature. So it's primarily an extension of the executive leadership team, mostly customer facing.
So I know you've been in the region, you've been in the industry for the last 2 decades. Mm-hmm. So you must have definitely witnessed some major developments.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a number of things that have gone on, right? There's been the advancement of the technology itself and the move to public cloud, containerization of applications, being able to move faster with things like CI/CD and this continuous deployment options. And then, not only has the technology changed, but the expectations, right, of the users have changed quite a bit. That's one of the biggest things that we've seen, where we've always thought that at AppDynamics that the application is sort of the brand, right? And a lot of people's primary experience with a customer or with a company is on that application. And so it's absolutely critical, and even more so these days, that application perform well.
So how do you think the expectations have changed after the pandemic?
So people are doing things online now and through applications that they may not have done before. One thing we've noticed is we did a study, our App Attention Index from 2021, and the use of applications and the number of applications people use to get through their daily lives has increased by 30%. So that's a lot of additional time on these applications and doing things maybe that they didn't do before, whether it's through communication, whether it's buying things, ordering services, whatever that may be online. With such a significant increase, what's happened is the expectation of how those applications perform has increased as well. So with somebody like Google, who sets this expectation of I type something in and I get an immediate response, the bar has been set. And so we found that 76% of people have this really high expectation of whatever digital application they're working on. I mean, I have 2 boys, 18 and 21, and if they can't do something on the phone, they just don't do it. And if it doesn't perform well on the phone, they'll move on to the next app that does do it, right? And we found that in the UAE, that number was even higher. Like 91% of people using them find that they're very high expectations of how the app will perform. And if it doesn't meet their expectations, they're on to the next.
Talking about your blogs and the expectations and survey and everything. Recently, in one of your blogs, you mentioned that technologists are facing sky-high expectations as a consequence of changing behaviors during the pandemic. So can you put this to our customers, to our viewers in brief?
Sure, yeah. I mean, what we noticed is it was 57% overall in this study showed that people said that a brand or a product, an application has one chance to impress them or meet their needs. And if it doesn't, like I mentioned, they'll move on. And again, in the UAE, it was even higher. It was 76%. So the expectations specifically in that region, right, are very, very high. And that changes the way technologists and businesses need to think about their applications. Because with the expectation that high, unless you're in a market where there is no competition, which, there's not many of those types of things, then you have to be concerned and you have to be at the top of that performance mark, or else, you're going to lose your customers to your competition around that. The expectation, people just don't, there's so little tolerance in today's world with the pandemic and all the different things going on. They just need things to work. And if it doesn't, then that's a problem.
So how do you think AppDynamics is meeting those expectations?
We're helping customers meet those expectations, right? We have what's called, we're kind of the tip of the spear for Cisco's full stack observability play right now. And so really helping companies understand how their application itself is performing is really, really critical. It's one thing where traditionally, companies have monitored the back end and the servers and the CPU and the database and the network, and they've monitored all things for a long time. But what they haven't monitored is the application itself. What is my customer's experience on the browser or on the phone that they're using or the tablet right now? What does that look like? And that really should be the new definition of down for a company. If the servers they have are up and running, that's great. But if the customer can't achieve their goal, or we're not meeting their SLAs, their service level agreements, and allowing them to get through things, then you're essentially down. And so we can help show what that experience is from the phone all the way through back to the servers. And because it's so complex now, so many things can go wrong. It's really critical to have that insight and that full stack observability.
So what demand do you see for your solution, especially when we are based out of the Middle East region? So in this particular region, what demand do you see for your solutions?
Demand has been significant. What we found is the technologists and the people actually who are responsible for building these apps and supporting them things have found that the inability to link their IT and their technology to the business is causing them problems, right? And so they know they need to be able to do that. Also, that there's about 75% of them globally are saying that they're faced with more complexity, right? As we move from things like monolithic applications to microservices, there's pressure from their bosses and from management to make sure that things are performing well. And that, unfortunately, some organizations are still relying on the multiple disconnected monitoring tools, and trying to take those different pieces of information and put it all together and correlate it is very, very difficult. So the demand is growing as organizations are starting to see the importance of these applications and that they need to shift their view to understand what the user experience is. So demand is definitely growing.
Great. So can you share your company's plans for the next year? We are just around the corner for 2022.
Yeah, so for 2022, we're going to continue to build out our full stack observability platform. Again, AppDynamics being at the center of this, where data is fed into from other applications such as Thousand Eyes that we purchased at Cisco to provide network data. We're going to continue to grow this out through the creation of APIs, through the integration with other products within Cisco, and integration into products outside of Cisco as well, to really help provide that full stack observability. And one of the unique things about AppDynamics is we do have that business intelligence as well. So we can actually help tie the application's performance to the business, so that when our customers are trying to make decisions like what new features, functionality do they add, or which defects or bugs do they fix first, they can make that decision based upon knowledge of the impact to the business from the application. So we're going to continue to grow that out. We're going to continue to try to bring down the complexity and the noise of all the data and help the customer really understand what's most important, what they need to act on, again, based on that business perspective. So I think that the platform itself will start to flesh out and grow as we go forward to include monitoring of other technologies. We're going to do things like supporting open telemetry and things of that nature. So this we'll continue to focus on the full stack observability and expanding that for the customer.
Sunny, you just said when customers choose AppDynamics. So why do you think customers should or need to choose AppDynamics?
There's a couple of things. I think, first of all, AppDynamics with their business perspective, right, where we can add in the business intelligence because we are inside of the application and we can see the data and all of these different calls that we watch and monitor. So to have the business aspect, it doesn't make sense to me to not be able to understand how the application is impacting the business, because that's why the application's built. There's generally a business purpose behind the application. Like, it's supposed to drive sales of a product or of a service, or gain information, or help sign people up, or add customers, whatever, convert, whatever that is. There's a business KPI. And if you can't tie the application to that business KPI, then I don't know how you make decisions without just making it being a gut check, right? You want to be able to make a decision knowing and understanding what the impact of the customer and the business are. And then second, we're Cisco. We have the ability to look at this full stack observability platform and really identify any gaps or places where we can make things easier or provide more value to the customer. And because we're Cisco, we can make an acquisition. We have the intelligence and the people to build things. So the support behind what AppDynamics is doing as being part of Cisco, and that working with Thousand Eyes and Intersight and the other products we have that are part of this observability platform, really gives us a significant advantage. So I think that those are the two big reasons.
Great. So just before the closing note, Joe, can you tell us, as a CTO, what are your top priorities for the company?
My priority is to make sure that we continue to grow with our customers. And my objective is to make sure that we are there with the customer on that journey and that we can help them along the way and once they're there. A couple of the important things are as people are making these journeys and making these significant changes, if we can be their partner and work with them now to show them what their technology is performing like now, and then help them through that transition or change, and then let them know what it looks like then, you've got a before and after to compare to, so you can prove the value that you've gained, right? And so that's really the focus, is to help the customers be successful in their digital journey, to meet their customers' expectations in terms of their applications and how they're performing, and make life a little bit easier for them, right? So they can trust the applications and move faster and know they're putting out a good product.
Great. Thank you, Joe. And thank you everyone for watching us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.